So you received the session 2 materials, right, on strategizing?
Yes, we did.
Okay. I'm
Session 2
sure you
materials.
have all gone through the materials.
Yes, Professor, the video.
Okay.
Yeah.
So good morning, everyone. Let's start formally the live interaction session. This is the session 2 related to strategizing. In that audio video lecture series, I have been talking about practical entrepreneurship. The first one was on establishing. How do we think of a startup and how do we establish the startup? In this, how do we strategize for a startup development is the main theme. This I tried to demonstrate through a few examples as well. I talked about how a startup can be set up, the strategic approach, right from understanding the market, finding out the product niche, to accessing technology and various other features. So it's a multi-step process, maybe as many as 30 to 50 steps are there in making a startup take roots. Then I talked about how investments are sequenced in the setting up of startup, and also the importance of analyzing the industry. While some startups try to disrupt the industry and therefore probably create a new product niche, new market segment, or even a new industry, it is important to analyze the existing industry because that will give us significant cues, including the kind of competition we may face. In that process, we should look at the external parameters and also the internal parameters of the company. And what are the stages of product development from ideation to commercialization, the five-step process I talked about. A lot of focus on prototyping. How do we develop a prototype? What are the prototype mistakes that could be there? And how do we validate a prototype? The interlocking nature of testing and validation, the concepts of minimum viable product and ultimate desirable product, and how there could be pitfalls in prototype development. And this is a hard choice. I'm seeing that every day. I have a friend of mine who is trying to develop a software based on AI for pharmaceutical industry. Now he has a Hobson's choice. He needs to go through people's feedback to be sure that what he is developing meets the requirements of the industry. But there are people who will say that, this idea is good, but I'm already halfway, although they're not halfway. There's no way. But then they're getting the idea. So if he could do, others also could do. But his core competence was the idea that this could be done in this particular way. So fortunately or unfortunately, you give a peep into the idea when you are trying to broad base your feedback canvas. But that is a uh, choice he has to make. But importantly, the only way it can be overcome is by making go-to-market as soon as possible. Try to perfect within ourselves the product, the prototype, and then launch the product based on an appropriate feedback. Another important aspect of our discussion is how do you balance MVP versus UTP. It would be not only erroneous but disastrous to do R&D on the field. That is, you do a half-baked product and then put it on the field and then hope that it will work. And then you are going to go through enormous cycles of development and the startup really won't take off. On the other hand, if you keep on extending minimal viable product, hoping for perfection, you are likely to lose valuable time. I talked about it. The value proposition for people from the product benefits to various stakeholders, and the importance of the triad, that is the desirability, feasibility, and viability. It should be desirable for the customer, it should be feasible to be made, and it should be viable not merely for the company but also for the consumer. So this triad is extremely important. It is not that everybody will be there at the highest level. That is most easy to do. It is also very desirable, and it is also going to be extremely viable. It is not that that spider will be on the most desirable points. We got to make trade-offs. Talked about the importance of prototyping in monetization or getting more funds. The key examples were the whispering fan, the price elasticity of demand and predetermined price, the concepts, the portable ventilators, antiviral masks, and the whole idea was that critical thinking is important. So when you think of an idea, You have to go to the root causes of the current system and then try to find out something new. So when you talk about whispering fan, you don't straight away go into the design aspects. You understand the root causes and whether it is a problem at all. And if it is a problem, why are we solving it? And then talk about the business strategy. And that was the concluding piece. Again, that was demonstrated to another example of smart glasses, how it would change or disrupt the eyewear market and the entire channel, right from development to product configuration to reaching out to the customers, how the market can expand dramatically if a real nice smart glass is made. So this was the sequence as well as the general thrust of the session. Now I am open to discussion with you. Yeah, Anil Bhagwani has raised a hand.
Yes, Professor.
Yeah,
So,
you would like to ask the question on his behalf, like you have done last time.
I'm sorry, Professor.
No, you would like to moderate the questions like you have done before. That would be helpful.
I'll be glad to do that, Professor. Yeah. So, one question that comes to my mind is, Professor, like if you look at from startup founders perspective, they have this idea, and then I was glad that I was able to take a session yesterday with NASCOM around problem framing, where I spoke about how these startups do not frame the problem; they just scratch the surface. They do not go too deep, what you were just talking. But the founders are always desperate to get forward with their idea. They do not do the market research properly. They do not really do this MVP prototyping. But the question is like, how do we know that if we are over strategizing or under strategizing? Because from my perspective, it needs a detailed research, analysis, planning. But from somebody else's perspective, it could be like, okay, let's get out and then we'll figure it out later. So what was the right balance?
Yeah, the right balance comes with experience and expertise, I would say. So let's look at the expertise. You really are a technical wizard, or at least you have strong technical acumen, and you believe that you have a design configuration which is going to work. Then there is no point in trying to, ask a lot of feedback. If you really believe that this is a great idea and you have done limited development, it is better you start on that basis. That is the expertise part. The experience part is that you have gone through the mill. You have seen how people, spend enormous number of hours in developing their services, they're running their systems. And out of that experience, you understand the pain points and you want to change. Now, in the expertise driven area, the whether it is actually solving the problem is the question. My product, my idea is not the solution to the customer. Many times we think that the product is the solution, but customer need is something different actually. So as I was talking about, I don't know whether this session or some other session, about sensors in the shoe, which warn us that as you go through the gradients, you are likely to slip. Now, whether this is what the customers want is a question mark, but it is a good idea. You can do that. So in that case, you can develop a product because you have the technical expertise and really test it out with small group of people and then go ahead. But when you are doing something like this pharma research and pharma uh, changeover from a current system, because in the pharmaceutical industry, the key thing is quality. Unlike other industries where you may have 80% of the talent in terms of production and 20% in quality, you are likely to have a 50-50 ratio between production and quality because everything that is produced has to be recorded, has to be tested, and has to be maintained and has to be justified. So humongous hours are spent in developing the quality documentation. Of course, it has been automated to some extent, but that itself comes with traceability, data integrity, whether our people are really doing it the proper way, and the systems are much mature enough to withstand FDA scrutiny. So if people are not able to explain, then it's considered a data integrity problem. So AI can resolve all of those things. But in that case, it is the marketing is not necessarily the product because the product probably is now within the reach with all the developments that are taking place and the experience of that particular person. But marketing is the issue. When I say marketing is not just selling the product, changing the mindset of people because industries have veterans and top people who are having their own ways of looking at it. So the mindset shift is extremely important. So I know of a company which has thought about, it was called Confirm, about researching through the doctors as to how their medication is working. And they did it 10 years earlier when the doctors were not familiar with the laptops and they were not so computer savvy as they are. Unfortunately, therefore, the use cases could not be generated. There weren't many doctors who were willing to participate in that study. And without use cases, the people are not willing to invest. So that was a failure. So again, whether you are ahead of the time, or if you are too ahead of the time, you spend enough time in changing the mind shift and getting one anchor customer or two anchor customers and demonstrate the benefit. These are the challenges we have.
Mhm. I think that's exactly in terms of how it would work from the founder's perspective, where one does a self-realization. Now, I don't know, Professor, if I should take one personal problem forward, but I am in a situation where I am working with a company and there are two people at the leadership. One person wants to go forward very bold with the idea, and the second person is recommending taking it slow, and they have a conflict in between themselves. So I mean, I'm consulting in terms of processes, but I do not know how to bring the right balance for them. So any thoughts, any suggestions there? Because now there are like different perspectives. Both of them are right. One wants to go with the market based on their experience, based on the trust they have in their idea. I vote more for the second person because I'm more of a process person. I know that you need to have a strategy, you need to have a vision in place, but the first person just wants to go out.
Yeah. See, in such cases, I think we need to get the financial perspective also into place because there is a risk of everything. The risk of being very structured and process driven is that you lose the time and somebody else may get the same idea and try to do. So that is the risk you run there. So you are tending to be a professional while being a startup. That is, you want to climb a mountain only through a complete understanding of the pathway, having all the gear with you, making sure that you have told everybody, having stage gates when you will communicate with people. All that is what a professional mountaineer would do. But a startup founder would only look at the peak and then try to hustle the way towards the top. So that is the difference. But see, I don't think a startup will ever function the professional way.
Right.
And so I would tend to swing to the first thing. Only thing is that the founder should not pivot to the idea beyond a point. That is, the person should be open to discussion, to be challenged. The more challenge the founder is willing to take from you or your colleague, your other co-founder, and then is willing to discuss and debate. Because the problem with the approach one is that the founders keep everything to themselves. They are dismissive of any suggestions that the product won't work, and it is not for you to penetrate his inner thinking. He has to kind of open up and then welcome you with all the discussions. If that doesn't happen, I mean, is the risk worth taking for him or her? But then you are unable to help him or her.
Yeah.
But in that case, as an advisor, you can only look at it, okay, he does this for 6 months. What is the financial damage in the worst case? And if that is tolerable, that is bearable, then you can say that, okay, you go ahead, let's try it out. It is like, although you don't know the right medicine for a disease, you do a therapeutic trial, hoping that that will work.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Um, uh, Hi, Professor. This is Sri Vishnu.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I have my technical expertise in information technology, but what I have something in my mind is related to food tech. I have
Sorry,
food
related
food
to food.
technology.
Okay.
Yes, I don't have any technical expertise over there. That's where I need some technical expertise from people. When I saw incubation cells and everything, they just need set of detailed plan and everything. So I'm just in the starting state. At what stage I should apply for an IIT? Should I IIT incubation cell? So it's like, should I crack the first initial steps and apply for it, or because I have very less knowledge about the tech that I'm going to provide. I just saw the market opportunity. There is a problem that I can solve. So yeah.
I think the first step for you is to get a co-founder on board,
Okay.
because you are admitting yourself that you don't have the technological depth to handle that processing activity. And if you really want to differentiate yourself in food processing, you have to be very uh, what should I say, innovative in terms of choice of the recipe, or what kind of thing you would provide, the ingredients that you use, the quality, the health, nutrition and health impact. So these are all the ones which food technologists would be able to provide for you. Now you have two options. One, you go to a CFTRI kind of institution, be there for 1 week, 2 weeks, try to understand what is happening in terms of food technology, and which are getting licensed, which are not getting licensed. You think that there is any particular scope, and if you really feel that there is something which is there to be licensed, and which they may be willing to give it to you, whether or not you are a technologist, then you can take that license, or at least enter into an MOU. And with that, you can go to the incubation cell and say that, I have got this idea and I have got the technology access. And in course of time, I'm also going to get a co-founder who is going to be a food technologist,
Okay.
and proceed. So you have to demonstrate the access to technology. As I told in other sessions related to leadership, to various things, it is not necessary that all of us are technologists, all of us are scientists, but we need to have good grasp of how technology works, how technology is changing, how it is going to benefit the consumer. You need to understand those things, because food technology, food market is so vast that anything can be taken up. But then whether you know you'll be able to get the right niche is your choice, and that requires discussion with the experts.
Okay. Thanks.
So I suggest spending time in that environment, food technology environment, and zero down on appropriate ways of doing this startup.
Oh, sure. Thanks.
Yeah. Mr. Raj K. Bharadwaj has raised a hand.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Mine is a socio-info startup actually.
Mhm.
It doesn't have a purpose to earn money. It's actually for visually impaired students. So we started this. We got some seed money to do research, and after which we came with a prototype. But still, it's at a prototype stage because we need some kind of funding from the government. So there are startup funding from the ministry also. I think METI gives some kind of funding. So, what is the right way to get these government grants for my socio info startup? And I'm a government employee also. So, what kind of repercussions come for the government employees if I'm starting a startup? So, if you can put light on these two aspects.
So you are a full-time employee.
Yeah, I'm a full-time employee.
So your service conditions allow you to do startups.
Yeah, I'm in the university. I'm in the
Like a
university.
sabbatical.
Yeah, I'm in the university. It was a part of a research project actually.
Yeah. Then
Now,
it's fine. Then it's fine. I mean, startups are there as part of your
yeah,
broader ecosystem. But for you, I think you can go through the grant route, the incentive route, rather than look for venture capital right away. I
yeah,
think you are in an ecosystem wherein you would be able to get government grants, and for that there are many opportunities available. For example, IIT Madras Research Park has got the Pravartak Foundation, which scrutinizes proposals on a regular basis and provides funds, because the overall fund has been provided to Pravartak to help companies come up with their development journey. So, and I am sure most IITs and directly the DPIIT have those funds available to support. Uh, so if you work through an established incubator, then the chances of getting the funds faster or getting the feedback happens faster.
yeah. But what's the process of getting the grant? Do I need to register my startup as a company first, and then I need to go to the incubation center? What's the process? I'm not clear about it
No,
actually.
no, you need to go to the incubator,
Okay.
talk to the concerned person, and then generate interest in the person. And once you feel that you have a rapport on the kind of idea that you are pursuing, and if you get a tentative green signal, obviously without any commitment from their side, then you can start. Possibly they will also tell you that these professors are well versed in the field you are trying to do, and why don't you contact them? And you may have a word or two with them, and that will refine your idea. Once you feel that they are at least in the process of admitting you into the scrutiny stage, that is when you can set up a company and go forward. See, setting up a company has its costs, but also it has its advantages. Obviously, anybody would be more interested in investing in the founder, but through the company, which is held by the founder. So, after this initial round of discussions, I would suggest establishing a company, a private limited company, and be prepared to bear, let's say, 20,000 per annum kind of expense to maintain it, because you got to go through certain regulations, etc. And some of these things are subsidized when you are part of an IIT Madras Research Park or other thing. But you should also be prepared to concede up to 5% of your shareholding for the incubation cell and the supporting institutions. But they do have grants which can be made available. But those grants will feed in when you are able to demonstrate a technical purpose or a commercial purpose. Commercial
Yeah.
purpose, let's say we'll revert to our colleague's previous question, food technology. If you are able to demonstrate that nutritionally, I am going to give much better pathway compared to other products, that would be a unique selling proposition. Similarly, if you say that your community proposal has got a strong digital backbone and you integrate some of AI concepts into that, it will have a better chance of getting admitted into the scrutiny process.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other question?
One more question I have, Professor. So, if I would like to identify angel funders, so is there any platform where I can identify that the angel funders who funds social for startups? Because uh, there are funders who, angel funder who gives grants to the companies,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
my startup is slightly different because it has a social implications and it has its own economic model also. So how can I identify those angel funders for such kind of startups?
So you can get, as you said, from interested people investment. Suppose, let's say there's an automobile professional who has retired after a long career and wants to support. So if the product that is being developed is in that area, obviously he may be interested in supporting it.
Yeah.
I'm interested in, let's say, any edtech venture, as an example, I may be willing to support. Or somebody says that I'm going to do something which is dramatic in AI, and the investor doesn't know how to do that, he or she will be interested in funding it. But like Kairitsu, which has got branches everywhere, like Indian Angels and those kinds of networks. We have got several other platforms where you can approach them. Like I know about Inflection Ventures Partner, I think IVP or something like that, where I routinely see a number of startup projects which are getting evaluated by them, and there is a huge numbers of professionals who are members of that platform, and you will get funding. You can, and it is more like a legalized crowdfunding route, because the minimum ticket size which they are saying for professionals to invest is 3 lakhs through an alternative investment fund, and a professional may not be averse to making that available, and very such 3 lakhs will be a grant for you or investment for you, which you can do it. So you can be enlisted in those kinds of platforms.
Yeah, thank you.
So if you want to contact them, I can provide the introduction, provide you, if you give some details, a note on what you are doing, and
Yeah,
then
surely. Yeah,
your contact details, then I will forward to the people who are administering that. It
yeah.
has
Thank
its own, it has its own secretariat, which reviews the proposals, conducts due diligence, and then allows the founder to make a business speech and then demonstrate progress.
Yeah, thank you. I will provide the details. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Professor, maybe I can take another one.
Yeah, please.
uh, Earlier, you were saying like the founders usually pivot on their ideas, uh, and they do not really try to go around. But the question is like, when do they know when it is the right time to pivot and when it is the right time to still look around and do some more planning or revisit the idea perhaps?
Uh, and the market, when the product doesn't take off in commercial stage, I think that is the hard lesson one takes.
Okay, but anything in the previous stages when they are still building the product or it's not really off to the market yet?
Mm. So you do get feedback, but investors are unlikely to give you feedback because investors are also kind of mesmerized by the founder and the idea, and they are not very savvy in the depth of the technology that the founder is doing. So you are unlikely to get the real feedback. So it's up to the founder to be very open and keep asking questions. Do you really think, your investment apart, do you really think that this is going to work? Provided the investor is there, as I discussed, somebody who has accomplished something in the industry and therefore has knowledge. So that's the only way. Otherwise, you have market pushback that is going to do. So there are three stages of this proving for ourselves. One is the proof of concept. Second is the proof of product. Third is the proof of business. The concept has to be proved, and whether you do that through prototype or through strong ideation, it's up to the founder. But unless the concept is proven, there is no point in trying to make a product out of it. So proving the product is the next stage, which requires rigorous testing and validation. But a good product need not necessarily be a good market solution. So proving the market, the business potential of the product is im- very important. I have a startup I have kind of witnessed and supported in terms of mentoring. The idea was to bring digital faculties to the analog watch because analog watch is what you appreciate for the style and flexibility, and you go to Apple Watch or something else because of the digital capability. So you try to bring that in, but that is a compromise finally. Even companies such as Fossil have failed to generate that into that. And when you want to do that, you're also going to have several other challenging considerations in the process. So when does the founder learn that this is not working? In the case I'm talking, the founder learned only when the market pushback existed and was there. Now at that point of time, you have two choices as the founder. You may say that this is because I'm on low scale. If only I'm able to produce more, because this is a well-established product. It is aesthetically appealing. It is going to be digitally successful as well. But only thing I need is the funding. So at that stage, the founder has two choices: continue to pivot on the product and seek a huge amount of funds, or say that the whatever commercialization I have done on a shoestring budget is not requiring, not generating the required sales. So I think I should look for something different, which will appeal more elegantly to the consumer. So in this case, the startup has decided that must do something different using the core technologies the startup has. So, so early commercialization or pilot marketing is another stage where you can depot it and repivot to something else.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, like you said, for the startup, the main core idea is to solve the problem for the society or society. Uh, but can we work on? But uh, many in many sectors, in different sectors, I'm having a solution. Uh, uh, I'm identifying many problems in different sectors. Uh, but I have to work ideation. Uh, can I work simultaneously, but not particularly me, through some expertise? Uh, can this way I can approach startup like this way, different sectors, different ideas with the proper ideas.
So if I get your question right, you are working somewhere
Uh,
and you want to pursue a startup opportunity, right?
yes, sir.
Okay, so employee entrepreneurship is something which we can pursue, and it depends of course upon the progressive nature of your organization and also the boss. Organization may be willing to support, but your boss may not be willing to support. And there could be domains where this is particularly relevant, like in R&D. If you are working in R&D, if you are saying that I'm going to do a different kind of component or different way of measuring the component specifications, although that is not there in the scheme of things, the boss may say, the R&D division may say that let's try it out. And once you try it out and then develop, there could be three possibilities. One possibility is that what you have developed is very useful for the company itself, in which case the company will support you further and send that go ahead. And then or put more teams into the process. That is one. And in the process, they will also reward you. The second one is that what you have done is good for the industry, not for the company. That is, you found a way in which the selection of four-wheel drive is extremely easy compared to what you have today. Or you found a solution for a passenger car, although you are working in a commercial vehicle making industry. So in which case, they will say that, okay, you work on it, and the company may take the responsibility if they have an IPR cell to talk to some passenger car manufacturers, or they may allow you to work on it, but then company to be involved when it comes to commercialization of your invention. The third option, which is that you have in this process come across something which has got, let's say, great potential for oil and gas industry. Example, you are working on a sensor system or something like that. Then it is going to be applicable for many other industries, and some industries may need it more. Then you have a choice whether to continue but to forget about that product, or you spin off your idea as a venture itself. Now, many companies abroad have got their own innovation foundations. So they find it easy to spin off employee entrepreneurship ideas into distinct ventures wherein the foundation has its stake. So the company gains, the employee also gains. In our system, these things are just getting developed on a very tentative basis. But then if you have a wonderful idea which has got use for the company, for the industry, or for the overall broader industry, then you have got a strong point to either seek the company's blessings and support, or just get off from the company and get on with the new invention.
Sir, uh, 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 but I don't get. It's clear, but uh, can I ask the same question, sir?
Yeah.
Sir, sir, I'm uh, sir, in automobile industry, uh, uh, I'm having one solution, and in Indian education system, I'm having one solution, and communication networking, I'm having one solution. And like that, in five different sectors. Uh, but currently, I'm not employed. Uh, uh, um, this is the company that will solve the problem. That's also uh, not particularly uh, uh, can 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 be uh, can be this the company will solve the problem.
So now, what is your final requirement? No, as I understand, you have got an idea which may satisfy the requirements in 4 or 5 industries, and you have the freedom to approach those industries. How do I go about that? Is that the question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you have to prove it on the desk. Let's say you are working on this communication system, and I'm sure there is enough technology to prove whether the intended goal of the communication system can be implemented in practice. So there's a lot of desk level validation you can do by buying whatever is the requirement in the system that you are contemplating, right from the motherboard to the testing equipment. You got to invest some money to make sure that your idea works. Otherwise, how will you get interest from people?
Yes. Okay.
This
Okay.
is
I
something,
understand.
yeah, this is something which you need to do before you approach any industry. You have to be satisfied. Like just as activity is not achievement, idea is also not a solution. Idea is just a starting point for us, which says that
Yes.
yes,
Okay. Okay. I understand. Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, yes, Ankur, right.
Uh, Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So I have one question. Let's say there is a company A which is existing in the market and has proven the market fit for its category. Now, as an entrepreneur, if I want to bring something similar to market, and when I am in prototyping phase, can I skip the market research because the previous company has already done and it's proving itself, and build it and launch it directly to the end users? Second thing, if we are building similar kind of product, is the vigorous marketing only way to get users?
See, if you want to launch exactly a copy of whatever is being done, you are a follower. Obviously, there are many products also today where something very similar gets marketed at a
Yes.
lower price or with better marketing glitz. That happens all the time. So, because the market is established by the current product, and you don't need to do anything, you need to only switch the market users from their product to your product. That
Yes.
is what companies do all the time. Somebody comes up with a foaming soap, somebody else comes up with that. If somebody comes up with a moisturizing soap, somebody else is able to come up with that. So it is kind of one-to-one correspondence between the leading product and the others. There's not much of a differentiation. So you follow your strategy, which happens all the time in the industry, and which is also necessary for the society. Only one person cannot dominate the market. But if you want to be a person who wants to disrupt the market or feel genuinely that the market is being underserved because the market doesn't know what really it wants.
Hmm.
And that way you take the Steve Jobs approach that I know what the market wants. The market itself doesn't know. Therefore, you create a product and you want to do that. Then design thinking is necessary. You got to sit with the customers, not necessarily to ask questions, to see how the product is being used and the pleasure points and the pain points. And that is an important aspect. Finally, you may decide not to differentiate yourself because what is required to be differentiated may be either out of reach or would take too much time. So you may, as an example, you may want to enter a particular industry, and industry has got two options: a service option and a product option. Ideally, you want to do a product option, but then you can create a base model based on the service offering, and then go to a product model. As an example, let's say you are trying to develop briquettes for steam generation, and the briquettes are made by agricultural waste, so you are sustainable. Now your ultimate goal is to make such briquettes in a much more efficient way, set up the entire supply chain, and then produce steam out of that, of course through the company boilers, and then sell this steam as well. So that is your full integrated value chain. But you may decide that I want to get in first and I want to have an assured interface with customers. So I'll be a provider of briquettes and then offer steam, run those boilers of the companies and offer that steam to the companies. But you will be buying briquettes from various sources. And this is one way of entering the business. But simultaneously, you have set up an R&D division, which makes briquettes which are much more efficient. There is a technology point which is embedded in those things. And then you are off to the phase two of your startup, which is actually your real startup in mind. So either you think of phase two and try to persevere in that route, which will require more time, more funding, or you enter the market through this route.
Yeah, because I feel if there is company which is pre-established into the same category, it
Mm.
will be, for me at least, it will be a big giant because I can't compete in the terms of marketing because they have already the funds and they can play on the lower prices. So, uh, is the differentiation is only key to show ourselves as a better than the previous one.
Whether you differentiate or whether you follow, marketing of that particular point is necessary. Let's take the example
Yeah.
of pharmaceuticals. Lots of nutraceuticals are coming into play today. Now, each is differentiated from the other based on the ingredients that are being put. But demonstration that it is going to be helpful for the individual is a product communication that has to be done to the doctors. And if it is a OTC product, directly to the consumers. But all of that has to be supported with clinical knowledge. So this is something which the startup must do.
Okay, sir. Thanks a
The
lot.
question of consumer's mind is that why should I come to you when I have already an established product which is getting sold in the market?
Yep.
So there's a switching cost involved in making that consumer. But if you have something which is very sharp and which appeals to the consumer, the switching cost will be less because people are always curious for choices. We may be sold on Honda as an automobile company, but we will look at various other cars before you go to Honda, right? Or Toyota. So the curiosity is there, and if the founder is able to tap that curiosity by some innovative product, then it is easy for you to get the market niche.
Yeah, totally get it, sir. Thanks a lot.
Hello, sir. Devanshu here.
Yes.
I'm audible. Yes, sir. So my question was about, there's a portion in chapter about angel investors. So is there any guided framework we have where, which guides us to like help us decide that how we should onboard the angel investors? As in, like, I'm looking for something like, should we have more number of people and who are investing in less parts, or we should have less number of people to take help from who are giving a major share? Is there any guided framework which helps us make those decisions? And my second question is that from a long term perspective, do we have like any set of questionnaires so using which we can discern that the people whom we are working it or onboarding as our team members or directors, that our belief systems and values are in alignment and it doesn't create any conflict or breakdown in future?
So the angel investors whom you take ideally should be a small number, maybe 5 to 10.
Mhm.
It all depends upon the riskiness and attractiveness of your product proposal and your development. If both are developed to some extent, you may hook only one investor with a larger amount of investment. But if it is still fuzzy and you need to do more work, but still people are willing to, associate themselves with you, they may want to do that, but with lower risk at this stage. So whether you have 2, 3 investors or 10 investors is dependent on the product functionality that you are able to think, or the service functionality you are able to think. That is one part. The other part is that I also referred, which you might have heard about the uh, platforms that are available for integrating various investors and making one investment on behalf of the investors. In which case, you will find that you have only one investing platform, although it is backed by 30, 40 people. So you have to deal with only one investor. That way, you can look at that option. So the number of investors is dependent on the progress you have made in developing the product. As I see, most of the products today or the startups today are coming with some level of development. People are trying to develop as much as possible with family saving, own saving, or government grants, things like that, rather than straightaway approach, because that will mean heavy loss of equity value. That is, you have to give 10%, 20%, depending upon what the negotiation will be. And unnecessarily, you are putting it on table. On the other hand, if you bring the product up to a particular point, you'll be able to get better premium and maintain maximum possible. The other thing, what you said, is about, if you repeat that.
Like when like from a long-term stability perspective, is there a set of like we have MBTI things, something like that? Do we have anything to discern that our belief systems and values are going to be alignment for a longer duration of time?
See, when these are the matters where our emotional intelligence plays a huge part. So when we look at people, we should be able to develop rapport. So if startups cannot be established in a transactional manner, it's not that we are paying huge salaries and they're going to be committed as long as you pay a huge salary and also give a variable pay. People who join startups have got a different methodology. And therefore, assessing them for their belief system in startups, as not necessarily your startup as a example, but generally their belief that is, I'm going to spend 2 to 3 years of my life in developing a startup. There are many interns these days who are willing to join a startup and work for a reasonable sum of money. So you can take those kinds of people and build your system. But having a co-founder is always good because there is complementarity of skills. There is an ability to check with each other as to how we are proceeding and then bring more strength to the company.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Good morning, sir.
one.
Sir, there is too many products, so many products in the market, which there is no standard company for that in people's mouth actually. So how if we start the similar product and how it works in market? So how do I start? I mean.
See, again, you have to establish your quality standard. You have to establish your product design. These two are important. So each will have its own uniqueness. That is, let's look at a, what should we say?
Sir, there is a
Uh,
standard for
let's
tomato sauce.
let's look at a situation where a bathroom accessories manufacturer like Jaguar or Grow Hair, they manufacture something for assisting the elderly in terms of balance and support. Their first move as a large organization is to trend it off with whatever is available in their overall technology. Therefore, it will be very nicely chrome, stainless steel, chrome plated, very elegant, very, attractive. But then is it really serving the purpose? Because you are holding it for a purpose of strength, stability, and it is likely to slip. So you want to do something which is more grippy. So the company will face two problems in doing that. One, the elegance is lost. Number two, when you do that process, the ability to resist rust may be compromised because you are imposing another material on a material which is already proven for rust protection, but nobody knows what is the coverage rust protection. So these are the problems we have. So on the face of it, if you nylon coat or coat with some other material which is very grippy and offer that, that will have a selling proposition relative to the giant who is manufacturing those things out of the overall stainless steel accessory product portfolio you have. But if you don't have the technology to prove that this is as durable as that, and if you don't have the ability to test the grip strength, you conduct some experiments and say that with the kind of moisturized hands that people hold, then the grip strength in this is required to be much more. And you have to create a story why people should take this product. Then you will not be just one more product, but you will be a product in your own right. So that is what you have to do. It is quite possible that if your product clicks and takes off in the market, the accessory giant may say that, oh no, I missed out this point. Let me also enter. It's quite possible. But then you have to keep on innovating further. Beyond that,
Sir,
it could be.
sir,
It could,
as we have a safety pin, so we don't have any standard company for safety pin. I mean, there must be there will be a company, but we in people's mouth there is no standard company. So if we start production of safety pin, then I don't need to get through the survey, market survey. All I just need is production and a team to sell it in a vendors like.
we may call it safety pin, but the safety pin has got its issues. One, it is not so safe actually. When you take it out from the holding portion, it can damage you if you are not careful. So you have to be of reasonable strength and capability to judge the safety pin. And the larger the safety pin, the greater is the challenge. And safety pins, for their use, they are likely to get rusted fast. You will see many safety pins having the tip getting rusted
Yes.
very, very quickly. So you have a pain point in that. Now, how you solve that pain point is important. If you want to make the pin part of it more flexible, it won't do its job of piercing through this. But you may adopt a different approach that is safety pin required at all. You may go through the fundamental. So that's what our critical thinking examples I have shared with you. That why am I making a safety pin? Is it because somebody else has made the safety pin? Or I have a different way of looking at this problem? So where all the safety pins are today being used? Only by women? If so, only for saree clipping? Is there a better way? You have to do that research and come up with an appropriate product. And if the product is having its own features, you don't need to do a safety pin.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So I think we are coming to the end. So I'll just take Pawan Pratap Praveen's question, and then we will again meet next week. And obviously we can carry over the questions.
Thank you, Professor, and good morning.
Good morning.
I have question around immersive tech.
About
So, immersive tech.
Mm.
So, how do you see the future of immersive tech, especially into the training and if I specific more onto the area, so which is a medical arena, be it your healthcare or medicine or healthcare equipments.
See, healthcare has got many areas. where technology needs to be brought in. It's not that technology has not come in, right from imaging systems to robotic surgery. Technology is there, but the entire process of healthcare delivery in an integrated manner, in a seamless manner, and in a very affordable and fast manner is still lacking. So any technology that you deploy to achieve that will have its uses.
Okay. So the specific portion on the immersive tech is like, especially I'm talking about onto the product testing, training, and that areas uh, into
Training,
that's my, yeah,
training, right?
yeah.
Training of medics or paramedics.
Both medics and paramedics both.
Okay. Now, what many doctors today say that they are not able to update their knowledge on a regular basis because they are so immersed in treating patients, and their full 24 hours is occupied in these activities. The time to read is very limited. Time to get trained is important. So if the administration says that I'm losing my competitive advantage because my doctors are not up to speed or my paramedics are not up to speed on the latest developments, then you have an opening for your product. So if you approach the doctors straight away, you may not get any mileage with this product. But if you are able to convince the hospital administration, the founders, hospital founders, that there is a way to give capsules of information, bites of information for the busy doctors and make them network, solve problems holistically. And that requires probably not merely taking let's say material from one source and then assembling into another packet. It has to come from the real-time experiences in the hospital setting.
Right. So the real-time experience and real-time data is required for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's again becomes a hurdle because no hospitals or no institutions they allow to give you that those data. So how we can overcome that?
I mean, hospital doesn't say that you don't enter my premises. Uh, so you have to undergo the hospital routine, even as a personal experience. Maybe 3 or 4 of you have issues, let's say. Sure, you go through the thing, you understand how things are evolving, and then you get valuable insights. And with that, you make a proposal. It's not that the proposal is all complete respect. And as long as there are people who are willing to experiment in the system.
It's not about the accessibility of the hospital or the doctors I'm talking about. I'm talking about more onto the data parts, like to refine and build more up to the mark like on the product. So we need the data, right? So that's where we get the hurdle saying that the data
See,
can't be shared.
So the problem is similar across industries. Whatever you are saying for hospital is also going to be true because every company generates trillion bytes of data in terms of their machining, in terms of their manufacturing operations. So you can provide some solution based on the data analysis, but nobody gives access to that data. So you got to establish a use case. You could do that in a clinic. You could do that in a simulated environment. Say that I have this technology to educate out of experience. Once experience is a particular product works for a doctor and a patient, doesn't work for another doctor and patient. So you can at least have one doctor. I mean, you have to make a start somewhere. So you got to be a co-founder or a mentor advisor who is experienced in this field, who tells you what all difficulties, issues they encounter, and create a simulated model. In this
Okay.
simulated use case, I'm able to get this kind of solution. And if I am allowed to do a diagnostic or a pilot, I'll develop a use case for you, which of course will be NDA governed, that is non-disclosure agreement. And if I develop it further, you will be my anchor customer. And if you don't like this, obviously I'm free to do whatever I want.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Paul.
So thank you very much. And I will meet with you again next week.
Thank you.
And if you need the materials again, you may have to ask the NPTEL Plus administration, and we will get them, not a problem. So, as usual, pleasure meeting you all, and then wish you
Thank you.
happy weekend.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So sorry, when you say material, we just have the videos. Is there anything else apart from that?
No, not good.
No. Okay.
Probably next time, if you again enroll, I'll get you something.
Okay, then all right. Thank you so much.
This is a continuous.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.